Imagine a palace so expensive, so grand, that people still call it the most expensive mansion in America. A home built not just with stone and gold, but with ambition, power, and obsession. In the heart of New York City stands a mansion that witnessed the birth of modern America, an era of extreme wealth, ruthless industry, and silent sacrifices. This is not just the story of a house. This is the story of Andrew Carnegie, the Steel King who rose from poverty, built an empire that shaped a nation, and constructed a home that still whispers secrets of the Gilded Age. Welcome to the Carnegie Mansion. Chapter 1. Andrew Carnegie, From Poverty to Power. Andrew Carnegie was born in 1835 in Dunfermline, Scotland, into a family struggling simply to survive. His father was a hand-loom weaver, a profession slowly destroyed by the Industrial Revolution. Machines replaced human skill, and poverty replaced stability. By 1848, the Carnegie family had lost almost everything. With no future left in Scotland, they made a desperate decision to immigrate to the United States. They arrived in Pennsylvania carrying little more than hope. Andrew Carnegie was just 13 years old when he began working to support his family. His first job paid $1.20 a week, working as a bobbin boy in a cotton factory. Long hours, dangerous conditions, no guarantees. But Carnegie possessed one rare ability. He observed everything. Soon he became a messenger boy in a telegraph office. There he learned to read messages by sound, a skill very few people possessed. This talent brought him to the attention of powerful men. One of them was Thomas A. Scott, a senior executive at the Pennsylvania Railroad. Scott became Carnegie's mentor, introducing him to the inner world of American capitalism. And Carnegie learned a brutal truth early in life. Wealth is not built by working harder. It is built by controlling systems. The mind of an empire builder. Unlike many industrialists, Carnegie didn't just want money. He wanted scale, influence, legacy. He studied how railroads expanded power, how monopolies crushed competition, how technology multiplied profit. While others chased gold, Carnegie focused on steel. Steel was the backbone of modern civilization: bridges, railroads, factories, skyscrapers. And Carnegie understood one thing with absolute clarity: whoever controls steel controls the future. This mindset would eventually lead him to build one of the largest industrial empires in history, and later, one of the most iconic mansions in America. A man of contradictions. Publicly, Andrew Carnegie presented himself as a believer in education, a supporter of libraries, a promoter of peace. Privately, he believed something far colder. Workers were necessary costs, not partners. That duality, generosity and ruthlessness, is deeply embedded in the walls of the Carnegie Mansion. Closing line. Andrew Carnegie had escaped poverty, but the price of power was high, and the mansion he would later build in New York City was not just a home, it was a symbol, a declaration that he had arrived and that American history would never be the same again. Chapter 2. Steel, Blood, and the Price of Power. By the late 1800s, America was transforming at a speed never seen before. Railroads stretched across the continent. Cities rose vertically. Bridges replaced rivers as boundaries. At the center of this transformation stood one material: steel. Andrew Carnegie did not invent steel. He mastered its production. The Bessemer Revolution. Carnegie embraced the Bessemer process, a revolutionary method that made steel faster, cheaper, and stronger. While competitors hesitated, Carnegie invested aggressively. He built massive steel mills, vertically integrated operations, and systems designed to eliminate inefficiency. He owned the mines, the railroads, the furnaces, and the distribution. This level of control allowed Carnegie Steel to crush competitors and dominate the market. By the 1990s, Carnegie Steel produced more steel than the entire United Kingdom. Andrew Carnegie had become one of the richest men in the world. But behind the shining bridges and skyscrapers was a darker reality. Life inside the steel mills. Carnegie believed in efficiency above all else. To him, labor was a cost to be minimized. Inside his mills, workers labored 12-hour shifts, 6 days a week, in extreme heat with minimal safety standards. Injuries were common. Deaths were accepted as unavoidable. Carnegie rarely visited the mills. Instead, operations were controlled by a trusted and feared manager, Henry Clay Frick. Where Carnegie spoke of progress, Frick enforced obedience. The Homestead Strike, a nation watches. In 1892, tensions explode at the Homestead Steel Works. Workers demanded fair wages, reasonable hours, and union recognition. Frick responded with a lockout. Then came the moment that shocked America. Frick hired Pinkerton detectives, armed private guards, to break the strike. On July 6, 1892, the Pinkertons arrived by barge. What followed was not a protest, it was a battle. Gunfire erupted. 7 workers were killed. 3 Pinkertons died. Dozens were wounded. The Homestead Strike horrified the nation, and one name echoed through every newspaper: Andrew Carnegie. Silence from Scotland. At the time of the strike, Carnegie was in Scotland, living comfortably at Skibo Castle. Publicly, he denied responsibility. Privately, letters later revealed he approved Frick's strategy. The damage was done. Yet Carnegie Steel survived. The Union collapsed. Profits soared. End of Chapter 2. Carnegie had conquered steel. But power demanded more than factories. It demanded symbolism. And in New York City, he would build a home that spoke louder than any steel mill ever could. Chapter 3. The Address That Changed Everything. By the late 19th century, New York City followed an unspoken rule. If you were truly powerful, you lived on Fifth Avenue. Fifth Avenue was not just a location, it was a declaration. This was where the Astors lived, the Vanderbilts, the Morgans. Old money, inherited power, names that opened doors before introductions were even made. Andrew Carnegie did not belong to this world. He was new money, an immigrant, a factory man, a steel magnate whose fortune smelled of smoke, sweat, and machinery. And yet, in 1899, Carnegie made a decision that stunned New York's elite. He chose to build his mansion at 2 East 91st Street, on the very northern edge of Fifth Avenue. At the time, this location was considered remote, unfashionable, almost countryside. Carriages rarely traveled this far north. Society believed Carnegie had made a serious mistake. They laughed. Why this location was a masterstroke. Andrew Carnegie was many things. Naive was not one of them. He understood something New York's aristocracy failed to see. The city was moving north. Land values would rise. Central Park would become the heart of elite life, and whoever claimed this ground early would control the future. Carnegie's mansion would overlook the park. It would not be squeezed between rival estates. It would stand alone. For Carnegie, privacy was not a luxury, it was a strategy. Unlike the tightly packed Fifth Avenue palaces, his home would have space, light, and separation. This was not isolation, it was independence. The elite mocked him. Within a decade, they followed him north. Choosing the architect, a risky statement. To design his home, Carnegie selected Babb, Cook and Willard, an architectural firm known for restraint, not extravagance. This decision raised eyebrows. At a time when mansions demanded gold leaf ceilings, marble staircases, imitation European palaces, Carnegie wanted something else entirely. He demanded strength, durability, function. Above all, he wanted, in his own words, a home that will last. A mansion built like a fortress. The Carnegie Mansion was unlike anything around it. It was built using steel beams, thick masonry, fireproof construction. This was no accident. Carnegie had seen factories burn. He had watched buildings collapse. He understood failure at a structural level. His home included one of the first private steel frames in a residence, advanced heating systems, early elevator technology. This was modern architecture before the world had a name for it. The walls were thick, the lines were clean, nothing was fragile. This house was not designed to impress instantly, it was designed to endure. A mansion that turned its back on society. Perhaps the most shocking choice of all, the mansion does not proudly face Fifth Avenue. There are no towering iron gates, no theatrical entrance, no dramatic display of wealth. Carnegie believed something deeply. Display is weakness. While others built homes to intimidate society, Carnegie built one to outlast it. This architectural restraint confused the elite. They didn't know how to read this house. What the mansion truly symbolized. To New York society, the mansion felt strange, understated, almost defiant. To Carnegie, it meant something far deeper. It represented permanence, legitimacy, moral arrival. This was not a house built for pleasure, it was built for validation. Andrew Carnegie was sending a message to the city. I am not passing through, I am staying.
The land had been chosen.
Chapter 3.
The walls
Narrative
were
bridge.
rising. The future was being built quietly. But a house is never defined by stone alone. It is shaped by the life inside it, by family, by belief, by conflict, by regret. In the next chapter, we step inside the Carnegie Mansion to understand how power actually lived behind closed doors. Chapter 4. Inside the Carnegie Mansion. Power, privacy, and the cost of control. From the outside, the Carnegie Mansion appears quiet, restrained, almost understated. But step through its doors and the reality becomes clear. This was not a house built for show. It was a house built for control. The entrance hall, where status was measured, not flaunted. Unlike the vast gold-drenched halls of other Gilded Age palaces, Carnegie's entrance hall was clean, proportioned, disciplined. No glittering chandeliers to blind visitors, no overwhelming displays of wealth. Instead, there was subtle authority. Guests did not feel dazzled, they felt evaluated. Every step, every glance, every movement inside the hall spoke, "You are entering the home of a thinking man." The library, the true heart of the house. If one room defines Carnegie, it was the library. This was not for decoration, it was for obsession. Floor-to-ceiling shelves housed philosophy, science, economics, history. Carnegie believed knowledge was moral currency. He often said, "A man who dies rich dies disgraced." Here he sat, a man richer than kings, surrounded by books that questioned wealth itself. The mansion, like Carnegie himself, was a contradiction. Immense power, but disciplined restraint. Work at home. Business never left the building. Private rooms hosted crucial decisions. Railroad strategies, steel contracts, labor negotiations, all away from servants' eyes, all behind closed doors. The mansion functioned as a command center, quiet, hidden, yet always vigilant. The dining room, discipline over luxury. Meals at the mansion were formal, structured, efficient. No theatrical banquets, no indulgent feasts. Even conversation was controlled. Topics ranged from philosophy, education, politics. Pleasure was tolerated, never celebrated. Family life, distance in elegance. Carnegie loved his wife, Louise, deeply but quietly. He was distant, often absent. Their daughter, Margaret, grew up in luxury, yet under strict moral discipline. The mansion was not a house of laughter. It was a house of expectation. Modern technology, hidden in plain sight. The mansion was ahead of its time. Early elevator systems, advanced plumbing, efficient heating. Yet all of this was hidden. Carnegie hated spectacle. The future existed here, silently, deliberately. Servants' world, precision and hierarchy. Behind the scenes, a strict system prevailed. Separate staircases, service corridors, invisible routes. Servants were to be unseen, moving with precision. Not cruelty. Carnegie valued efficiency above all. An emotional coldness in the air. Visitors later described something unusual. The mansion felt quiet, not peaceful, controlled, as if emotions themselves were measured and contained. Some felt uneasy, others admired the discipline. This house was a reflection of its owner, rigid, controlled, deliberate. End of Chapter 4. Reflective Bridge. This was not a palace of pleasure. It was a house of principle, a structure built to house thought, ambition, restraint. But no philosophy can protect a man from time. No fortune can prevent decline. In the next chapter, we witness Andrew Carnegie stepping away from power and the mansion beginning its transformation. Chapter 5. The Fall from Power, Retirement, Regret, and the Shadow of Death. By the dawn of the 20th century, Andrew Carnegie had achieved what few humans ever have. He had won. The steel empire was complete. Railroads depended on his prices. Cities rose from his metal. Nations built their future on his furnaces. And yet, inside the Carnegie Mansion, a strange silence began to grow. The day Carnegie walked away. In 1901, at the absolute peak of his power, Andrew Carnegie made a decision that shocked the world. He sold Carnegie Steel. The buyer was J.P. Morgan. The price was $480 million, the largest private business transaction in human history at that time. Adjusted for today, it made Carnegie one of the wealthiest individuals who ever lived. But wealth did not bring peace. It brought emptiness. A mansion without a mission. After the sale, the mansion changed. The strategy rooms fell quiet. No more negotiations. No more midnight calculations. The house suddenly felt too large. Rooms once filled with decision-making stood unused. Echoes replaced voices. Carnegie spent less time here. The mansion was no longer a command center. It had become a mirror. The ghost that followed him everywhere. No matter how much money Carnegie gave away, one memory refused to leave him. The Homestead Strike of 1892. Steelworkers shot, lives lost, families broken. Though Carnegie had been in Scotland at the time, history did not absolve him. Letters later revealed he supported Frick's actions from a distance. Inside the mansion, friends noticed changes. Longer silences, restless pacing, late-night reading, avoided conversations about labor. Some rooms were quietly abandoned. The past had moved in. The gospel of wealth, a man seeking redemption. Carnegie turned toward legacy. From within the walls of this mansion, he planned the greatest philanthropic effort the world had ever seen. Libraries, universities, peace institutions, scientific foundations. He believed wealth carried moral responsibility. Yet philanthropy did not erase memory. It only softened its edges. Carnegie was trying to outgive his guilt. Declining health behind closed doors. As the years passed, his body began to fail him. He suffered from chronic fatigue, recurring illness, physical weakness. Doctors came quietly. Treatments were discreet. The mansion adapted once more, no longer to power, but to fragility. The man who controlled steel could no longer control himself. A death away from home. Andrew Carnegie did not die in his great mansion. In 1919, he passed away in Massachusetts, far from the walls he had built. Yet his absence was deeply felt. The mansion did not mourn loudly.
It absorbed the loss in silence. Louise Carnegie, the keeper of memory. Louise Carnegie remained. She preserved the house with care and restraint. Nothing extravagant was added, nothing essential was removed. She understood what this mansion truly was, not a monument to wealth, but a monument to discipline. She lived quietly until her death in 1946. The atmosphere that never left. Staff and visitors later described something subtle, not fear, not sorrow, a heaviness, a sense of unresolved presence, not a haunting, a memory. This house had witnessed a man who climbed to the highest summit of power and discovered how lonely it could be. End of Chapter 5. Reflective Bridge. The Carnegie Mansion did not decay, it did not burn, it did not disappear. It waited for a new purpose, for a new voice, and that transformation would change its identity forever. Chapter 6. From Private Power to Public Memory. How the Carnegie Mansion became a museum. When Andrew Carnegie died in 1919, most people assumed the mansion's story was nearing its end. That was the fate of nearly every Gilded Age home. They were sold, demolished, stripped for stone and steel, replaced by apartment towers and office blocks. But the Carnegie Mansion did something unusual. It waited. A house that refused to disappear. By the 1920s and 1930s, New York City was transforming rapidly. Skyscrapers pierced the skyline. Old fortunes faded. Property taxes climbed to crushing levels. Across Manhattan, the great mansions of Fifth Avenue fell one by one. The Astors were gone. The Vanderbilts retreated. Entire blocks of history vanished. The Carnegie Mansion stood directly in danger. Its location, Fifth Avenue and 91st Street, had become some of the most valuable land in America. Developers circled. Many believed its destruction was inevitable. Louise Carnegie's final vision. Louise Carnegie understood something others did not. This house was not meant to compete with the future. It was meant to explain the past. Before her death in 1946, she quietly guided the mansion toward preservation, not profit. She did not court real estate magnates. She spoke with educators, historians, and cultural institutions. Her message was simple. This house still has something to teach. The turning point, a revolutionary decision. In 1949, a historic agreement was reached. The mansion was sold to the Cooper Union Museum for the Arts of Decoration, which would later become the Cooper Hewitt Smithsonian Design Museum. This decision was revolutionary. For the first time, a Gilded Age industrialist's home was preserved not as a shrine to wealth, but as a center for education and design. The mansion would not glorify excess, it would examine intention, adapting a home without erasing its soul. Transforming a private residence into a public museum posed a serious challenge. How do you modernize a historic home without destroying its identity? The solution was restraint. Original walls were preserved. Staircases remained untouched. The steel frame structure stayed intact. Rooms were repurposed, not rebuilt. Unlike many museums, this one did not hide its former life. Visitors could still feel that this had once been someone's home, a place of meals, conversations, decisions, and silence.
Why design
belonged here. The choice of a design museum was no accident. Andrew Carnegie believed knowledge was power. Design shaped daily life, from furniture to buildings, from tools to textiles. The mansion itself became the first exhibit, a living example of industrial precision, functional elegance, and American confidence. The building taught without speaking. The deep irony of preservation. Here lies the quiet irony. A mansion built from steel profits earned through relentless industrial expansion, was now dedicated to reflection, learning, and creativity. The house that once symbolized dominance now symbolized understanding. Power had transformed into perspective. A new atmosphere after dark. Museum staff working late hours often described the same sensation. Not fear, not danger, a presence. Not supernatural, but attentive, as if the house was listening to how its story was being told. No official hauntings were ever recorded, yet many said the mansion felt aware. End of Chapter 6. Reflective pause. The Carnegie Mansion had crossed a threshold. It was no longer owned, it was entrusted. No longer private, now permanent. But its story was still unfinished, because beneath its calm galleries and carefully lit displays, older echoes remained. Chapter 7. Whispers in the Walls. Legends, unrecorded stories, and the quiet haunting of the Carnegie Mansion. When people hear the word haunted, they often imagine shadows, screams, or sudden terror. But the Carnegie Mansion is not that kind of place. Its haunting, if it can even be called that, is subtle, restrained, and deeply psychological. Much like the man who built it. A presence without drama. There are no recorded murders inside the Carnegie Mansion, no violent deaths, no infamous crimes. And yet, almost everyone who has spent long hours inside the building describes the same sensation. Not fear, awareness, as if the house remembers. After-hours accounts from museum staff. Over the decades, security guards, curators, and maintenance staff have quietly shared similar experiences. Always late at night, always subtle. The sound of footsteps on staircases when no one is there. Doors found slightly open after being securely locked. A sensation of being observed, not threatened, just noticed. One longtime security guard once said, "It doesn't feel empty after closing. It feels like someone is still awake." No shadows, no figures, just presence. The staircase that changes time. The mansion's central staircase is mentioned again and again. Standing there alone, especially after midnight, people report something strange. Time feels slower. Sounds feel closer. Architects point out that the steel and stone construction creates unusual acoustics, but those who work there say, it's not just sound, it's atmosphere. Andrew Carnegie's shadow, or his philosophy. Andrew Carnegie believed deeply in discipline, structure, and moral purpose. This was not a house built for indulgence, it was built for control. Some historians believe what people feel inside the mansion is not a spirit.
but the psychological weight of a space designed by a man who believed every moment should matter. A house where idleness felt uncomfortable. Louise Carnegie, the quiet presence. If any presence is spoken of gently, it is Louise Carnegie. Staff members often describe a calming stillness in the former family areas. No sightings, no apparitions, just order. Louise was known for routine, restraint, and emotional balance. If memory leaves a trace, hers would be quiet.
Why this mansion never became a ghost house. Unlike many Gilded Age mansions, the Carnegie Mansion was never abandoned. It was always occupied. First by family, then by purpose. Historians agree, buildings that remain used, respected, and maintained rarely develop dramatic ghost legends. They do not decay into mystery. They age into reflection. The psychology of legacy. Visitors often say, "This house feels heavy," but not oppressive. Heavy with intention. Every room suggests decisions were made here, power was exercised here, responsibility lived here. This is not a haunted house. It is a remembered one. A house that observes the present. Today, as visitors walk through galleries of design and innovation, the mansion witnesses a new kind of creation. From steel to textiles, from railroads to ideas. If walls could speak, this house would not cry out. It would ask a single question. What will you build with what you're given? End of Chapter 7. Gentle pause. The Carnegie Mansion does not frighten, it reflects. It does not trap spirits, it preserves intention. And perhaps that is why its presence feels so real. Chapter 8. The Silent Walls. Untold and Dark Stories of the Carnegie Mansion. At first glance, the Carnegie Mansion looks calm, elegant, almost peaceful. But every old mansion has two histories. One that is written in books, and one that lives quietly inside its walls. This mansion is no different. A house that never truly slept. Even when Andrew Carnegie was alive, this house was never noisy like other Gilded Age palaces. No grand ballroom parties every night. No endless champagne-fueled celebrations. Instead, there was silence. A strange, heavy silence. Visitors later wrote that the mansion felt too quiet for a house built by one of the richest men on earth. Servants often said the same thing. It feels like someone is always watching, even when no one is there. The shadows of wealth. Andrew Carnegie was admired publicly, but privately, his fortune carried blood and suffering. Steel mills worked day and night. Men lost fingers, arms, sometimes their lives. And the most infamous moment, the Homestead Strike, 1892. Workers protested brutal conditions and low wages. Carnegie was conveniently out of the country, but the orders were given. Pinkerton guards were called in. Gunfire erupted. People died. That blood money built these walls. Some historians believe Carnegie never emotionally recovered from that incident. After that incident, he spent more time alone inside this mansion. Long walks, late nights, lights on when everyone else slept. Whispers from the staff. Decades later, when the mansion became a museum,
Security guards and night staff reported unusual experiences. Not dramatic horror movie ghosts, but subtle, unsettling moments. Footsteps in empty hallways. Doors found open that were locked. A feeling of being followed in the library. Sudden cold air in specific rooms, especially Carnegie's private study. One guard reportedly said, "That room feels heavy, like the air itself remembers something." The library that feels alive. The mansion's library is one of its most powerful spaces. Thousands of books, dark wood, low light. Visitors often feel calm there, but some feel uneasy. Why? Because this was the room where Carnegie fought his greatest internal battle. Power versus guilt. Money versus morality. Empire versus humanity. Some believe this is why the room carries such intensity, not haunted by spirits, but haunted by decisions. A mansion built on contradictions. Andrew Carnegie believed in peace, yet made money from steel weapons. He funded libraries, yet crushed labor unions. He preached equality, yet lived in unimaginable luxury. This mansion absorbed all of that contradiction, stone by stone, room by room. Why no one calls it haunted officially? Museums rarely admit to ghost stories, but ask longtime staff quietly, and they will tell you, this house remembers. Not screams, not apparitions, just presence. A reminder that extreme wealth always leaves a shadow behind. This mansion is not scary, it is heavy. Heavy with ambition, heavy with guilt, heavy with legacy. And in the next chapter, we will see how this once private fortress of power was transformed into something Carnegie himself never truly imagined. A house of public memory, where his secrets now belong to the world. Chapter 9. From Private Power to Public Memory. The Transformation of the Carnegie Mansion. When Andrew Carnegie walked through these halls for the last time, he never imagined this, that one day strangers from all over the world would walk freely through his private rooms, that his bedroom, his library, his silence would become history. The End of an Era, 1919. Andrew Carnegie died in 1919. The man who once controlled the steel veins of America was gone, but his mansion remained, massive, immovable, waiting. For years after his death, the house stood quietly, no longer a symbol of living power, but of a completed chapter. Why the family let go. Unlike many Gilded Age families who clung to their mansions, the Carnegie family chose a different path. They understood something rare. This house was too important to remain private. In 1972, the Carnegie Mansion was sold to the Smithsonian Institution, a historic decision. Not to erase Carnegie's past, but to preserve it honestly. Birth of the Cooper Hewitt Smithsonian Design Museum. The mansion became the home of the Cooper Hewitt Smithsonian Design Museum, a museum dedicated to design, innovation, human creativity. A perfect irony. A house built by industrial power, now celebrating ideas. How the mansion was carefully altered. The original staircases preserved, wood paneling restored, not replaced,
Fireplaces kept exactly where Carnegie wanted them. Private rooms adapted but never erased. Even today, you can still feel the line between home and museum. The mansion today. Today, the Carnegie Mansion stands on Fifth Avenue, New York City. Not shouting its wealth, not competing with skyscrapers, it simply exists. Visitors don't just see artifacts, they walk through decisions made a century ago. Every hallway whispers, this was once someone's world. A different kind of immortality. Carnegie didn't leave behind a royal bloodline. He left behind institutions, libraries, universities, foundations, and this mansion, no longer a throne, but a mirror, showing how wealth can evolve from ownership to responsibility. Why this mansion matters more than ever. In today's world of billionaires and private islands, the Carnegie Mansion asks a powerful question. What happens to wealth after you're gone? This house answered it. Not decay, not abandonment, but transformation. This mansion survived empires, wars, strikes, guilt, and silence. But its greatest story is not how it was built, it's how it changed. And in the final chapter, we will ask the most important question of all. Was Andrew Carnegie a hero of humanity, or a man trying to buy redemption?
Chapter 6. From Private Power to Public Memory. How the Carnegie Mansion became a museum. When Andrew Carnegie died in 1919, most people assumed the mansion's story was nearing its end. That was the fate of nearly every Gilded Age home. They were sold, demolished, stripped for stone and steel, replaced by apartment towers and office blocks. But the Carnegie Mansion did something unusual. It waited. A house that refused to disappear. By the 1920s and 1930s, New York City was transforming rapidly. Skyscrapers pierced the skyline. Old fortunes faded. Property taxes climbed to crushing levels. Across Manhattan, the great mansions of Fifth Avenue fell one by one. The Astors were gone. The Vanderbilts retreated. Entire blocks of history vanished. The Carnegie Mansion stood directly in danger. Its location, Fifth Avenue and 91st Street, had become some of the most valuable land in America. Developers circled. Many believed its destruction was inevitable. Louise Carnegie's final vision. Louise Carnegie understood something others did not. This house was not meant to compete with the future. It was meant to explain the past. Before her death in 1946, she quietly guided the mansion toward preservation, not profit. She did not court real estate magnates. She spoke with educators, historians, and cultural institutions. Her message was simple. This house still has something to teach. The turning point, a revolutionary decision. In 1949, a historic agreement was reached. The mansion was sold to the Cooper Union Museum for the Arts of Decoration, which would later become the Cooper Hewitt Smithsonian Design Museum. This decision was revolutionary. For the first time, a Gilded Age industrialist's home was preserved not as a shrine to wealth, but as a center for education and design. The mansion would not glorify excess. It would examine intention, adapting a home without erasing its soul. Transforming a private residence into a public museum posed a serious challenge. How do you modernize a historic home without destroying its identity? The solution was restraint.
Was Carnegie
Original
trying
walls
to
were
redeem
preserved.
himself?
Staircases
That question
remained
has no
untouched.
simple answer.
The steel frame
Maybe
structure
he
stayed
believed wealth
intact.
created
Rooms were
responsibility.
repurposed, not
Maybe
rebuilt.
he feared judgment.
Unlike many
Maybe
museums,
both.
this one did
But
not
one
hide
thing
its
is
former life.
undeniable.
Visitors
He
could
changed
still
the rules
feel
of
that this
how
had once been
billionaires are
someone's
remembered.
home, a place of
mansion's
meals,
final
conversations, decisions,
Today, when
and
you
silence.
walk through the Carnegie Mansion, you don't feel celebration. You feel weight. Not the weight of gold, but of consequence. Every step asks, what will remain after me? Why this story matters today. In an age of modern billionaires, private jets, and gated empires, the Carnegie Mansion stands as a warning and a lesson. Wealth builds walls. Legacy builds bridges. Power can build empires. Money can build mansions, but only responsibility builds memory. Andrew Carnegie understood that. Maybe too late, but he understood it. This was the story of Andrew Carnegie and the mansion that witnessed his rise, his silence, and his legacy. If this documentary made you think, if it made you question power, wealth, and responsibility, please share this story, like this video, and stay with us. Because history is not just about the past, it's about what we choose to remember.